Hello, my name is Jacob Danks. For this presentation, I'm going to walk through the process I used to create my user documentation project, which was an instruction set on how to drive a manual transmission vehicle. I'll also be talking about some of my challenges, what I learned along the way, especially from user testing and feedback. I'll also discuss what I would change if I had further time and how I revised my instruction set to make them clear and easier to follow. My instruction set is focused on teaching someone how to drive a manual transmission vehicle. That includes the full basic process, starting the car, shifting through the gears, and then safely bring the vehicle back to a stop. The main audience for this was beginner drivers or people who have never driven manual before. Because of that, my goal was to keep everything as clear and step-by-step as possible without assuming too much prior knowledge. One of the biggest challenges I ran into was trying to explain timing, especially when it comes to coordinating the clutch and the gas pedal. That part is really hard for beginners because it's not just about knowing what to do, but when to do it. So I had to think carefully about how to break that stuff down into simple steps that someone could actually follow without getting overwhelmed and confused. After testing my instructions with users, I noticed something important. Most people could understand the steps individually, like pressing the clutch or shifting gears, but they struggled when they had to put everything together in real time. So the issue wasn't necessarily understanding the words, it was more about applying the action smoothly while driving, especially when timing was involved. Using empathy mapping helped me understand how users were actually thinking and feeling while going through the instructions. A lot of beginners felt nervous about stalling the car or rolling backwards, especially on hills. That helped me realize I needed to not just explain the steps, but also make the instructions more reassuring and clear so users felt more confident while learning. This is actually a picture of one of my empathy maps that I created for the assignment. Through multiple rounds of write testing, I was able to improve my instruction set step by step. Each round of feedback showed me different issues, but one thing that kept coming up confusing was around clutch timing. So I went back and revised the instructions to make them more logical, slower, and easier to follow. Over time, the instructions became a lot more structured and user-friendly. This is a picture of actual scenarios and tasks I had them do. One of the main improvements I made was clearly defining the bite point, since that was something users didn't fully understand at first. I also slowed down the instructions so each step could be followed without feeling rushed. On top of that, I added more safety reminders, especially around things like stalling, starting on hills, and maintaining control of the vehicle. One of the biggest things I learned from this project is that users need extremely clear instructions, especially when dealing with something hands-on like driving. I also learned that real user feedback is really important because what makes sense to me as the writer doesn't always make sense to someone seeing it for the first time. Small details ended up making a big difference in how usable the instructions were. If I had more time to improve this project, I would definitely add more visuals and video examples to show things like clutch timing and shifting in real time. I would also simplify some of the wording even more, especially around how the clutch and gas work together, because that was the biggest area of confusion for users. Adding more real-world examples would also help make it easier to understand. To wrap things up, this instruction set improved a lot through testing and feedback. Each round of user input helped me refine the instructions and make them clear for beginners. Overall, I learned that good user documentation really depends on how well you can understand the user's experience and simplify something complex into clear, manageable steps. Thank you for your time.